Every so often a game comes along that's just so unique you have to take a look at it. Some of these games become absolute masterpieces and other ones are just bad games in shiny, spectacular packages. A new game though fits the bill. It's called Koi, where you're playing as, well, a koi fish in a pond. And it's very beautiful to look at with some great melodic music to accompany you on your journey. The thing is though, does this little fish swim to victory? Or is it just a very small fish in too big of a pond? The best way that I can describe Koi is it's a relax game. It's a game there you can come home from a long day, you don't really feel like getting into a violent melee gun battle, you just want to sit down and chill. And Koi provides a great alternative to the loud, explosive fest that is many modern games. In the game, you're playing as a nameless koi fish whose goal is to swim around, find friends, and re-blossom the flowers of the pond because something maniacal and malicious is going on that's turning the pond into a dark, toxic mess and is killing the other fish. In order to reinvigorate the life of this pond, you're gonna have to make flowers blossom. To do so, you swim around as your little koi fish, finding various different friends that can match with the same colored flowers that they are in order to make them blossom. By doing so, you'll unlock either different paths or unlock gates that you can continue on to the next part. Sometimes just finding the right colored fish and the right colored flower, though, isn't enough. You may have to solve a small puzzle, like, for example, a Simon Says puzzle with leaves, that you'll have to pick the right leaves in the right order to unlock a path, or a puzzle where you'll have to flip pieces in order to connect all the paths of the flower to get a center flower to blossom. While this is an extremely relaxing game, there are some hazards that you will have to worry about. There's the evil dark fish that once it sees you will dart towards you. If it ends up making contact with you, you don't die, but you end up losing all the color in your fish, and you kind of wanderously aim for a few seconds until you regain your color and then gain full control of your fish back. Besides just the dark fish, there are a few other little elemental and environmental hazards that you'll have to avoid, like electricity at some of the later parts of the game. The story of the game plays out from you meeting various old frogs sitting on lily pads that will give you little bits of information. You'll find other fish that you can actually communicate, which will explain the goings-on and what exactly is happening. But also to kind of figure out little elements of the story as well, you can find puzzle pieces in every level. Every level contains 4 puzzle pieces, and once you gather them all together, you'll get a big puzzle at the stage complete screen. You also have to find stars in every level in order to get a 5-star rating in each and every one of the stages. The added element of the puzzle pieces and stars definitely adds some more gameplay because overall, Koi is a sweet but very, very short experience. The game features 8 different levels for you to explore. Some of them are quite large in scale, with a lot of nooks and crannies that you'll have to maneuver around to find all the puzzle pieces and stars, as well as even the fish that you need in order to make the flowers bloom. In particular, I really like the level where you're moving through a stream that's pushing you forward, and you have to kind of pick the right paths and find the fish while going through a very fast-moving current. I also really liked the dark labyrinth-themed stage, and usually I'm not a fan of maze-like levels, but this one had a nice creepy atmosphere to it and wasn't too overbearing with the puzzle element to it that I ended up actually enjoying it. One thing that always really helps a game like this is soundtrack, and this game has a beautiful one to accompany it. There are some great melodies that I really enjoyed listening to, especially in the more early, vibrant stages, and I can't wait to listen to this soundtrack outside of the game. Also, the added elements of the levels themselves, like raindrops hitting on the water itself, was quite a nice touch and just added to the overall atmosphere. Well, from a technical standpoint, the game ran fine. I didn't really run into slowdown or crashes. I did run into a glitch or two. One in particular during a puzzle where I had to match geckos by their patterns, not their colors, which took a second to realize what I was supposed to be doing, but the game ended up glitching, and one of the geckos that I already matched unlit, and I wasn't able to reselect them, and once I completed all the other matches, the puzzle didn't solve itself. Now, thankfully, there was a time on the puzzle, and the time ran out and reset, so then I was able to figure out the puzzle the second time through, and it was only a minor inconvenience, but I'm not sure if anybody else ran into this similar problem. Being the kind of game that it is, I wasn't surprised that there was a real lack of difficulty. You're not only unable to die, everything was able to be found pretty easily. I didn't really find myself struggling too much in order to find all the fish and flowers that I needed in a particular stage, and if you ever get stuck, you can press the R1 button and an arrow will appear that will point you towards wherever you need to go to next. There was one spot in particular that I won't spoil, where I didn't quite figure out what exactly I had to do, but after putting controller down, I was able to kind of figure it out. Koi is a very artistic game, but the gameplay itself, while initially a bit fun, doesn't evolve as you make it farther in. I was hoping the difficulty would ramp up just a bit to make it more interesting, but it ends up not doing so. But before the gameplay gets monotonous, I guess, the game's already over. While it is 8 levels long, it only took me 59 minutes on the dot to complete all the levels, watch the ending, and watch the credits, so it didn't take me very long at all to get through this beautiful looking game. I would love to be able to recommend a game like this to everyone just because of the way it looks, the way it sounds, and the way it feels, but there's just not enough there for me. It is $9.99 by default on the PlayStation Network, which I think is just way too steep for the experimental-like game that it is. In the end, though, I unfortunately am giving Koi a 4 out of 10. But that will wrap up this review. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.